Welcome back to Crunch Time, and today we're going to be talking about the Western Conference Power Rankings. But before we get into that, we do have some NBA news to cover. The lesser of the two news is that the Lakers have been sold for $12 billion. There's not really any news with that. Nothing's going to happen to the Lakers, but I just wanted to say $12 billion is fucking insane. I think that puts them as the most valuable franchise in sports now. I think it was the Cowboys, but now I think it's the Lakers. So look, now most Lakers fans have their two teams at the top. That's pretty cool. But anyways, let's get into this next one. Now, this next one is pretty big. If you haven't heard this, I don't know where you've been, because if this means anything to you, then you are probably very in tune with the NBA world. But Russell Westbrook is retiring from the NBA. Now, for a guy like me, this means a lot because I don't know an NBA without Russ. Obviously, I was born before he was drafted, but he was in the '08 draft. I was born in '06 and 20. That might have shook some old people there, that an '06 person was 20. But yeah, that's insane. That's genuinely insane. I did not expect this to happen. I don't think anyone did. Obviously we all knew Russ was a free agent, but we figured that he would re-sign somewhere. He's a valuable guy. He averaged 15 a game last year. I mean, he still had some juice in him for sure. It wasn't like Carmelo or Chris Paul when they went out and they just weren't doing anything. And speaking of those two didn't mean as much to me because I wasn't as big of a fan of them. Right, Russ, I was a Russ guy, and I think the only people that weren't Russ guys are like Laker fans, and that shit hurts, dude. Like watching someone that you grew up watching. I'm sure a lot of people have been through this, but like this is the first time I've really experienced this in basketball. Like obviously, like I just kind of watched him grow. Like when I started watching, obviously there's been players that have been retired since then, but like a lot of those guys were established superstars by the time I got there. And Russ was, a superstar, but he wasn't a superstar. And he he became that. And it's really sad to see him go because he's one of those guys that I kind of thought would just stick around. Like not even be bad and stick around, but like I thought he'd just be here, stick around, and but he's gonna be gone now. So that's really tough to hear. And I don't think anyone should want to hear that. That's just genuinely so I'm so sad. Like I feel like a piece of me is just gone. And he never even played for the Warriors. So I don't even like he was a rival of the Warriors multiple times and but he was just such a fun, energetic player and just want to say thank you, Russ, for playing basketball and giving everyone this opportunity to watch you play. And thank you for inspiring so many people in the youth. I think your fan base has to be one of the most loyal fan bases in basketball. There are so many Westbrook fans, and I just want to say thank you for everything you've done. And it's kind of sad seeing like these guys be replaced. Seeing Westbrook, Curry, KD, LeBron, it's kind of all be starting to get hard and get pushed out by the new guys like Luca, Shea, Jokic, Ant, Wemby, all those guys. And God, they're all in one conference. They're all in the West. Let's get into the West. Now that we're there. Like that transition? Let's go. So at 15, I got Sacramento Kings. Sacramento Kings at 15. Now the Kings have some stuff going for them, but they don't have much. Sabonis, nobody wants. They've been trying to trade Sabonis for, I think, 2 years. Levine, I believe in him, but he's on the Kings. They're a dysfunctional organization. And then they got A-Cup. And that's about it for their players that are relevant. You can list some other names like Maxime Renaud. I don't believe in him. I'm pretty sure in 5 years he will be ball knowledge. So personally don't believe in him. However, A-Cup, I do believe in with my whole heart. And that's why it hurts to put him here. Because His team fucking sucks, and they're going to continue to suck. The Jazz and the whoa, the Jazz and the Kings last year both went 22-60. The Kings might do worse than that this year. This might be the worst team in the NBA. I think I would take the Bucks over them. So yeah, that's hard. That is very, very rough for Acuff to walk in on. And he's not going to get a very good draft pick teammate next year because of the new draft rules. So yeah, sorry, Acuff. Better luck next time. At 14, I got the Pelicans for similar but very different reasons at the same time. The similar reason is that they both sucked last year. The very different reason is the Pelicans have so many good players. They got DeJounte, they got Trey Murphy, they got Jeremiah Fears, they got Derek Queen, they got Zion. Like, they got Missy. Where are like this team should be a playoff team, but they suck. And I think it's a coaching problem for sure. And they do have a new coach coming in, and Jamal Mosley is a good defensive coach. I think at least the Magic's defense was good with him. He better have not been a fucking offensive coach, bro. Okay, yeah. I knew he was a defensive coach. I don't know why I doubted myself there, but yeah, he's a defensive coach. So, with that being said, Jamal Mosley's a defensive coach. The Magic's defense last year wasn't all that bad. They had a lot of injuries and they made stuff work. Their offense, on the other hand, was the bad thing. That's what they needed to work on. And I think this Pelicans team is better suited for offense than that Magic team was with the injuries. Right, with Franz gone, with, Suggs being like a one-legged demon half the time. It's kind of rough to have a good offense like that, but they made it work defensively. And I think that's going to happen this year. But I still think they're going to be bad because they have done nothing to show me that they can do anything competent with this good roster, and they haven't done anything to show me that this roster can play together. They've got a lot of good players. They haven't done anything to show me that they can play together. So that's why they're at 14. At 13, I got the Clippers. Now, this is my second time recording this video because my footage corrupted. So if I kind of seem like this is all scripted, it's because I've already fucking said it all before. If I seem a little angry or talking fast, that's because I spent fucking 30 minutes yapping, and then I looked at the footage and it corrupted. So yeah, that's fucking great. The Clippers, they got a good team. They got a good coach. However, they're just not as good as the other teams, and that's really it. Right? I like their players. I think they fit well too. I think Mathurin is going to be good on this team. Mathurin is one of the best foul drawers in the NBA, and But the weird thing is, like, that's about all he does. He just draws fouls. He's like a free throw specialist. It's kind of crazy. I don't know if anyone's ever like looked. I don't know if you guys have looked at his percentages, but like his fucking foul draw rate is so high compared to like everything else. It's genuinely absurd. But yeah, you got Garland. Garland's a good point guard. He can set guys up. He can set guys like Mathurin up. He can set guys like Keaton Wagler up. I personally don't like Keaton Wagler all that much, but he's a rookie. He's got a lot to learn, and there's plenty of players that I haven't liked coming out of the draft that end up being good. So I'm not gonna act like he can't be good at all. Speaking of good coming out of the draft, Cam Boozer and the Grizzlies are at 12. The Grizzlies are interesting. I was listening to the Numbers on the Board podcast earlier today, and they were interviewing Colin Cowherd. And Colin Cowherd said, Grit and Grind Grizzlies was a mindset and less of a skill set. Factual. And he said that that's very hard to replicate. And a lot of what the Grizzlies have been doing is trying to replicate that, it seems like. Getting Isaiah Stewart, drafting Cam Boozer. There seems to be a um, clear goal here. Be physical and rough, and he confirms that they want to be a team that when you look on the schedule and you're like, oh, on November 14th, I'm playing the Grizzlies. Fuck, dude, that's gonna be a hard game, and that's just gonna be annoying. That's what he wants. He says that he's got high aspirations for the Grizzlies, and I do too. I think this team can be really good. It's just I think their odds of being really good are a little less than some of the others, and I think there's gonna have some hiccups. And the Grizzlies are also like cursed. I don't know if it's cursed or if their medical staff is just fucking awful, but they miss so many players every single year. So until I see them stop having so many season-ending injuries to people, I'm gonna like keep them lower because their medical staff needs to be fired. But yeah. Anyways, at 11, I got the Blazers. The Blazers are interesting. They made some moves this offseason in getting Ja Morant, and they technically made the move of getting Damian Lillard because since he didn't play last year, it's technically a this year move. What do I think about that? Well, I don't think Dame's going to lose a step in shooting. I think his movement will be, a little labored. His defense is going to be worse. But I mean, he made a video where he had a challenge where he was like, all right, I'm going to go make 1,000 threes. Right? So he starts shooting. Now, if you haven't seen this, you're probably like, oh, so 1,000 threes, in the lab. Maybe like if he was really good, like really efficient, he probably shot around like 80% ish, maybe took like 1,250, 1,300 shots. Dame took 1,092 shots to make 1,000 threes. 92%. I know it's just an off-season thing, but like that's fucking insane. I know that really means nothing, but I just want to point that out. That's fucking crazy. But yeah, their situation is a little weird because you got Ja and you got Dame, and the Blazers have come out and said they view themselves as a starting backcourt. Personally, I think that changes, but those two as a starting backcourt can't work. You can't have a shooting guard and point guard who can't defend for shit. Because either you have to put someone who can defend really well on the perimeter in as Drew Holiday. So Drew Holiday is going to be your fucking small forward. And that means that you probably either have to take Denny or Kamara out of the starting lineup, which you don't want to do because those are two good players. One really can get you started in the paint, and I would love to see Denny and Dame together. I think Denny's driving and his gravity coming in and then passing out, and Dame or maybe Dame's gravity just leaves Denny open lanes. That sounds amazing to me. That sounds like a great duo. Except Kamara is one of the best defenders in the league, so you can't bench him. That's insane. So what are you going to do? Because Klingon's got to start. So you're going to bench Drew? Well, then you got a retarded backcourt. Oh, you're going to bench Denny? Well, now it's just Dame scoring, really. You don't really, unless Ja finds a fuel. But it's just, they're not going to set each other up. They're just going to ISO. Like, it's not. I think their idea is very 2K-ish, and I think the execution is going to be more basketball-ish when Drew starts behind Dame and Ja comes off the bench about 2 weeks into the season. That's my point of view. Anyways, on to number 10, my Warriors. Now, Steph Curry's the best player that has been mentioned here. However, it's controversial having the Warriors this high, which is insane, Mr. Dunleavy. Having the Warriors at 10 seems high when they have a top 12 player in the world. I think it's fair. Some people might think he dropped out of top 10. I don't, but, some people might. So we'll keep him at the top 12 for now. I think that's fair, right? I could speak on the Warriors for hours, so I'm not going to do that. They didn't do shit. I really like their Melton and their Porzingis re-signing. Horford one's fine. I would have rather give him a 1-year deal. I don't think he's going to play 2 more years, so I don't know why you did that. But yeah, Porzingis was great for us last year. Melton wasn't as much, but I think Melton suffered from having to be a lead ball handler, which is not his role. So yeah, they also re-signed GP2. Love GP2. Great player. There's rumors about them trying to go grab Clay. I don't think they're going to, because that would be a move, which they don't do. They don't bring outside players in. If you haven't known, they've brought 2 players on their team are new. You want to know who they are? Yaxel Lendeberg and Lajay Jones. If you guys don't know who Lajay Jones is, it was their 57th overall pick or something like that. And you guys know Yaxel was drafted. They only drafted players. They didn't sign anyone else. They literally didn't sign an outside free agent. You can fucking look at it. They didn't. I'm not lying to you. I wouldn't do that. Okay, I probably would do that, but like, trust me, bro. At 9, I got the Suns. Now, the Suns are an interesting one. Interesting for one reason. What's that one reason, you might ask? They're not a good enough team to make all-in level moves. And you might be like, well, they didn't make an all-in move. Correct. They didn't. If I told you that the Suns traded Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, in a 2033 pick, you would have been like, oh, okay, they must have got like someone crazy for that. Like, did they go? And I said from the Hornets, and you're like, oh shit, they get LaMelo, they get Brandon Miller. Obviously, LaMelo's no longer on the Hornets, but let's just say this was before that trade. We're like, oh shit, like that's crazy. And I said, no, they got Miles Bridges. That is ludicrous. I can't believe that shit. I'm very happy the Hornets took that trade because they were like, oh fuck, shoot, what? You're giving us that for him? The guy that beats his wife? Yes, kick him out, kick him out, kick him out. That's ludicrous. I genuinely can't believe that. Bridges is cool, bro. He's not worth that. Unless you see something in Bridges that I don't see, which personally I'm not a big fan of Bridges because I think beating your wife is a little mean. I don't know if that's a hot take nowadays, but yeah. I did mention in my other video he did bring physicality, so I guess that could be what you're going for. But yeah, not a big fan of that. But I don't think they got worse. I don't think they got better. I think they're right where they were last year, at the 9-8 range. Speaking of 9-8, let's go to 8. At 8, I got the Mavericks, and I had high hopes for the Mavericks last year, mainly because I thought Kyrie was going to be coming back. But Kyrie never came back, but he's coming back this year. Flags going into year 2. Whole NBA offseason to bulk up. Apparently, Trey Murphy put on 20 pounds. Love to see that. We're off the Pelicans, though. We've been off the Pelicans for 20 minutes, but yeah. But realistically, the Mavericks. So what do we got with the Mavericks? Personally, I like this team, especially if they don't trade Clay. I know Clay's kind of been in the media a little bit lately, mainly because he cheated on Meg Thee Stallion, but that's fine. Sorry, no one knew Meg until Clay, anyways. Anyways, Clay, you're a baller, man. I love you, dude. Favorite player of all time. Wish he would come back. Fortunately, you're not going to because our new GM's a dickhead. However, you know who's not a dickhead? Derek Lively, because he's coming back. PJ Washington, maybe he could rejuvenate. Najee Marshall's a baller. So yeah, I like this team. I like how they're built. They drafted Merez Johnson in the draft, and I can see this team going very far and going places for sure. Speaking of going far and going places, let's look at the Jazz, dude. The Jazz are my number 7. You know, I'm proud of them, dude. You don't do what the Jazz did last year, being the 15th seed, and then go to the play-in next year, especially going to the top seed of the play-in next year. Unless you do what the Jazz did and be unethical as hell with your tank. And look, they were clear. They're like, hey, we want a top pick. And what do? They were rewarded for tanking. Now, is that really what they're supposed to be doing? Probably not. But they got rewarded, and that's that. How do I think the Jazz are going to do so much better? Well, they fleeced the fuck out of the Lakers. I like Walker Kessler, but he's not worth 2 first-round picks and 2 swaps. Maybe for the value of what you need, maybe. Maybe when you need a guy next to Luka like that, sure. But we'll get to Lakers. But the Jazz, they got Markkanen still. Markkanen's a baller. They got Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson's a baller. They got ballers all around. Ace Bailey, Darren Peterson, Isaiah Collier, Bryce Sensabaugh, Keyshawn George. Nope. No, Keontae George. They got ballers, dude. They got ballers. And they got a good coach. Can't really ask for much more. Ballers and coach. Let's ball. 7 seed, I think, is a minimum. I think they could be even higher, but I'm not willing to do that because I am a scaredy cat who doesn't like backlash. So yeah, 7 is safe. Said we'll get to the Lakers. Lakers are at 6. I'll spoil this next one. Rockets are at 5. I had a very hard time between these two because obviously the Lakers beat the Rockets in a playoff series, and I think the Lakers did get better. But the Rockets also did, in a way. They didn't really get much, but I think they'll have a better roster. Rockets getting Fred VanVleet helps a lot. Lakers made a lot of moves. Lakers are a very different team. And with all the moves they made, I'm kind of just judging off vibes of this team and like how I think this team is going to perform. But they might all suck together. I have no idea. So kind of just got to wait. But on paper, it's pretty good. And with the Rockets, you know, like I said, Fred VanVleet's coming back. Steven Adams coming back. They didn't really make all that many offseason moves, so it's kind of hard. But yeah, hope they can put some stuff together and help KD's legacy a little bit because it's kind of been a little since he left Golden State. No conference finals appearances. It's kind of crazy to think about how KD hasn't been in a conference final since the turn of the decade. It's pretty crazy. He almost was. He was an inch away. But inches are a lot, and you should have been a little bit further out, pal. Number 4, I got the Nuggets. Now, the big thing about the Nuggets is Jokic. He's a very big thing. And something even bigger about them is Jokic's brothers. So I'm going to be very nice about the Nuggets here so they don't beat me up. The Nuggets are going to be really good next season. In reality, Peyton Watson probably, I have no idea what's happening with him. He's a free agent right now. Probably will return. They're going to overpay for him. I think Christian Brown will bounce back. You know, law of averages, he just couldn't hit threes last year. I think he'll be able to hit them again. Normally a young player doesn't just stop being able to hit threes. Normally it's the opposite way. Normally they can, and then they can. But yeah, I think Christian Brown will be better. I think that also help free up Kim Johnson and Jamal Murray, and it will be a very good offense. Their defense, on the other hand, is scary. I don't want to talk about that because I think Aaron Gordon will probably be hurt again because he's never fucking healthy. At number 3, I got a little bit of a controversial one here. The Timberwolves are this high. Yeah, dude, I believe in this team, bro. I don't give a shit who they're running out at small forward, dude. LaMelo, Ant, Jay McDaniels, Gobert. That's a great squad, especially in the regular season. Especially in the regular season. I think that the offensive ability between Ant, LaMelo, and Jay McDaniels, and then the defense between Jay McDaniels, Gobert, and a little bit of Ant. I know Ant's going to be able to try harder on defense now that he doesn't have to do ball handling capabilities, and that's just crazy. And I genuinely think it's a cheat code to have that, and that is just freaking absurd, dude. So yeah, I got the Timberwolves at 3, and now the big one. It's obviously between the Spurs and Thunder. It should have been this way no matter what, and I'm gonna have the Spurs at 2. Why? No real rhyme or reason. I like what the Thunder did. I like what the Spurs did. Thunder were better by 2 games last year in the regular season. I think the big thing is Wemby is probably going to be rested a little bit during the regular season. I think we'll probably see him have not a minutes restriction per se, but like I guess a minutes restriction. Be like, hey, Wemby, do you need to be in here that much versus the Kings in this January 22nd game? Probably not, right? Let's have Wemby play 20 minutes. Let's have him play 25, but, staggered. Let's a few things. I think they're going to be very cautious with Wemby. Not because he's injury prone. I know he's got that, like, stigma, but, like, getting DVT isn't really something that you can control. And then, I mean, he got injured in, year 1? And that was it. Year 1 and 2. He didn't even really get hurt year 1. He kind of played a lot. He was almost DPOI. So, yeah. I don't think Wemby's that much of an injury risk, but I do think taking precautions there is good. And then the Thunder are the Thunder. I mean, they got the 2-time back-to-back MVP. They got Chet, who, by the way, Chet's getting a lot of shit. I don't think Chet's bad at all. Chet had a really good first 2 series versus the Suns and the Lakers, and I know it's the Suns and the Lakers, but like, just because he got sunned by Wemby doesn't mean he's that bad, dude. Everyone gets sunned by Wemby except for Brunson and Cat and OG. Okay, maybe not everyone though. But yeah, I mean, Wemby's a bit of a hothead, and look, for some reason, he's got a vendetta against Chet. I guess like Chet technically did do stuff to him, but like his entire career, Wemby's just had it out for Chet, and it kind of sucks for Chet because like he didn't really do anything to him. He's just like chilling. He's like, "Hey, dude, like, could you stop, please?" Like, I was trying to play basketball, and Wemby's like, "No, I kill." So yeah, it's a little bit hard, but yeah. But anyways, that is it for the power rankings. I ran through that a lot quicker than my first time. I was literally talking about the Lakers after 40 minutes. So I just ran through the last 5 teams pretty quick, and I didn't even go through those guys. So I don't know how long that would have taken, but yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe if you somehow are still here. I know my viewer retention is shit, so most people probably didn't even make it to the Pelicans. But if you are some here at the Thunder and on, I'd love for you to subscribe. I'm gonna probably have to start saying subscribe at the beginning before people click off. But yeah, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, and do all those things. And have a great day, everybody. And I will see you guys soon for the magic. See ya.